Good morning, Monday morning coffee. How are you doing? I'm kind of recovering from that amazing weekend. That was my birthday weekend. So, first of all, I want to thank you, every single one of you, for the birthday wishes. I had so much love, so much people which have been wishing me and sending me texts and uh, and private messages and so much. Actually, it was pretty overwhelming, and people that I haven't seen for years, that I haven't heard for years, which all of a sudden now did send me texts and birthday wishes. So thank you so much for this. I'm truly, truly grateful for the love that you witness towards me and the message that I'm trying to portray. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm really, really, really grateful. Um, I had a very, very nice weekend, and I was planning to do nothing. Uh, like for me, the my birthday is not something which I'm like. There's people which are celebrating. Like my wife, for example, like she's celebrating for an entire week. That is not necessarily my case. That's a day like another one. Um, yes, I'm that's another year that I'm on this planet, and I'm really grateful for this. But I never really saw something that I needed to express to the world and do things. So basically, I always plan to spend some time with my wife, with my kid, and just be in a family, which we did, and it was really good. And then my wife says, like, don't plan anything. We're gonna go to restaurant, you and I. So I was like, okay, perfect. So I was planning going to restaurant with my wife, and then there was a bunch of people which joined us, which turned out to be really, really good because that's people that I like, and that's the thing. When you have birthday party, you want to be surrounded with people that you like. And right now, because I'm extremely um, attentive to the people I'm spending time with, for me, that part is very important. I rather be by myself than be with bad company. That is one thing that actually you should add into your life, because there's nothing worse to have like nonsense conversation with people that doesn't mean anything, and then you have to justify like what you're saying and why you're saying it and how you're saying it and so on and so forth. So for me, I rather be by myself than be with bad company. So that's the first thing. But we had a really good time. Nice people, like some people that I haven't seen for a while as well, which was there. So it was really, really good. But what we've been is a freaking what we've been thinking and talking about since the last paradigm shift, which, if you're not familiar, paradigm shift is like an event that we have in Los Angeles, and what I got out of that event, which was like last week, is you have to really make sure that you are visualizing. You have really to make sure that the picture of what you want is so clear that you already live from there. Neville Goddard said, you cannot think about it, you have to live from it. So the picture that you really want to get yourself into, you have to really live from there, from that space. And this is a concept that a lot of people have a hard time to grasp. But when you start living from it, when you start living from there, what will happen is you will start to attract to you all the condition and circumstances required to make that picture a reality. So that picture become into form. But the very first thing that I want you to start doing is, are you into the spirit of what you want? Are you into the spirit of what you do? Give you an example. I love do this Monday morning coffee. Like this is like, I'm looking forward to wake up in the morning on Monday to be with you and to share whatever I can share to help you out, right? And because of it, I'm in the spirit of it. Because of it, I'm feeling already the excitement before to come, and I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to talk about today? Like, what can I bring as value to those guys that are going to spend like maybe a minute or two or 5 or 10 or maybe the entire session? Like, what can I bring as value that you can use right away on this day, and you can start having a better week? And that is what being into the spirit of it. Now, when you're into the spirit of something, it start meaning something. And I want to read you like basically what we study with this. This is a study that I've been doing like for the past 6 months with Bob, and we've been stuck. You can call it this way. We've been stuck on the same text for 6 months. Now, have you ever done that? Have you ever looked at a text, one page, and be stuck on the same page for 6 months, half a year? Now, some of you will say, like, why would you even do that? Well, that is exactly the idea of entering into the spirit of it. Is you want to enter into the spirit of what you are involved with. And I'm going to read just this first paragraph, which it tells you pretty much everything about this. Okay? So, entering into the spirit of it, it's a text. It's chapter 18 from The Hidden Power by Thomas Troward. Thomas Troward is such a great writer. There's so much substance into what he's doing. So just bear with me for a second. Entering into the spirit of it. What a common expression. And yet, how much it really means. How? Absolutely everything. We enter into the spirit of an undertaking, into the spirit of a movement, into the spirit of an altar, even into the spirit of a game. Now think about this. When you go into a hockey game, I'm going to take this because that's the playoff right now, no basketball game, that's a playoff. You can watch this on television, but there's nothing that's going to equal being there live and entering into the spirit of the game, which there's an entire energy that is like emanating from the crowd, from the player on the ice, like from everything. There's so much going on, right? That is the same thing if you go to a concert. You can listen to some music, right? And my girl here, Alice, uh, she said something which, like, for me, I will never forget that. And it kind of, she put in words what I was feeling every time I go to those events. Like, some people say, like, why you keep going to those events? I mean, like, you're part of Bob's Inner Circle, all the material, everything that is talking about. So why you keep going there? Because you can listen to a CD, you can listen to your MP3, you can listen to your music all day long. You know the lyrics, you know it. But why would you go to the concert? It's because there's an entire different atmosphere. There's an entire different spirit. You're entering into the spirit of the show. And that, my friend, this is where everything starts changing. I mean, there's some shows that I remember that, like, I would never erase that from my mind. Like, those shows have created impact on me. I was into the spirit of those shows, right? That is what entering into the spirit means. And it makes all the difference, both to us and to that what into which we enter. So think about it. So if you enter into the spirit of your goal, it makes all the difference for you as walking toward your goal, and the growth you will experience on walking toward your goal, and your goal itself want to start coming into form because you are into the spirit of that goal. Does that make sense? So it goes both ways. This is one of the law of the universe, which is the law of action reaction, right? Everything as an opposite. Actually, that's called the law of cause and effect. Now, a game without any spirit is a poor affair. An association in which there is no spirit falls to pieces. And a spiritless undertaking is sure to be a failure. So think about it. Every time that you do something and you don't have any spirit in it, you feel you're dragging yourself. You feel that you're grinding. You feel that there's nothing really that makes sense. Why? Because there's no spirit involved. You're doing the things mechanically, which I'm going to come back later. On the other hand, the book, which is meaningless to the unsympathizing reader, is full of life and suggestion to the one who enter into the spirit of the writer. That is the reason why we're reading the same text for months, 6 months now, which I'm going to continue reading this probably for another year, maybe 2, because there's so much involved into this. The man who enters into the spirit of the music finds a spring of refreshment in some fine recital which is entirely missed by the cold critic, who comes only to judge according to the standard of a rigid rule. Now think about how many times do you critic things without even knowing, without even taking the time to enter into the spirit of what you're listening? How many times? It's so easy to criticize. It's so easy to point out the flaws and the mistakes. That's the easiest part. It's entering into the spirit and try to see the underlying thing on everything that people are doing that makes the difference. That will make the difference as well in your results. That will make your difference of everything that you're undertaking. That's what makes sense, and that's why it's important. And so on in every case that we can think of. If we do not enter into the spirit of a thing, it has no invigorating effect upon us, and we regard it as dull, insipid, and worthless. When you're bored, bonjour mama, when you're bored, that is the exact reason. It's because you're not entering into the spirit of what you're doing. And most of you are having job that you don't like, that you're not involved, you're not emotionally attached to your job. So the job is dull, insipid, and worthless. You're there to make a paycheck. You're not there because you want to grow, you want to fulfill yourself. And because of that, you have a disconnection into what you're doing. And that disconnection makes you not getting the results that you want. It is so simple. This is our everyday experience, and these are the words in which we express it. So if you want to really make lean way, if you really want to make like something big out of your life, you need to enter into the spirit of what you're doing. You need to enter and to find that purpose, find that reason why you're getting out of bed in the morning. Only then will you be able to start creating on command everything that you want and bring into your experience everything required for you to succeed. That is so powerful. Now, when you're not entering into the spirit of a thing, what's happening is you get into this mechanical feeling, mechanical age. And one thing that we realized last week is that we had a great year. And because the year is always like around my birthday, like this is a time of reflection for us. And we had a spectacular year, right? Based on like past results and the results that we are having right now. But we realized that everything we've been doing have been extremely mechanical. We did everything mechanically. We did not enter into the spirit of that vision that we have, which like we were looking at each other, so it's like, what are we doing? Now, think about it. We got great result by grinding, which that's what we learned. We learned that you need to grind, you need like to work hard, you need to like to do everything that needs to be doing. everything that needs to be done. But that is not where that you're going to make lean way. That's not where you're going to make those quantum leap results. The quantum leap results comes from entering into the spirit of what you're doing. And when you are into that spirit, what's happening is you start receiving all the answers, all the ideas, everything requisite for you to start getting results. So, what? That's it? Yeah. And now you don't need to force. Bob said you can do more in 90 seconds that you can ever imagine if you enter into the spirit of what you have to do. So what's happening is you start getting messages. Now that might sound, if you're new to this, now you're gonna look at me and says like, oh, this is like hocus pocus mumbo jumbo crap, man. Well, you can think whatever you want. The point, if you're going there, you're missing the point. The point is you will receive insight, inspiration, things that's going to come into your mind, like the name of someone. If the name of someone come into your mind, you should contact that person. That person is someone you should get in touch with. You don't know why until you take the action. And then you'll get the answer why you had to contact that person, right? But you're receiving those insights all the time, day in, day out. The thing is, we're not connected. We're not open to the possibilities. And we are living just out of our five senses. What I can hear, see, smell, taste, and touch. And living out of this, basically, I become a victim to whatever's happening on the outside. But there's a bunch of other things that's happening on the inside, ideas, direction that you should take. And all of those things are there to help you reach the goal that you want, or help you advance toward the life that you desire. And if you are attentive, if you are listening to those, now you started to get, oh, you know what, maybe I should do this, because you had an insight. And taking action right on it, right on the spot. Also, okay, this is what I should do. And as you're doing it, there's no struggle. There's no effort. Do you have to take action? Yes. But it's like the action becomes effortless. There's a flow happening because you are into the spirit of it. And that is the way, like, this is why Bob says, like, you can accomplish so much in 90 seconds. But most people are thinking logically, thus make them do things logically, which in a lot of cases, there's a lot of struggle on the way. So you're struggling as you're moving, as you're advancing, you're struggling. It's hard, like you're feeling that you're in some mud and you're running in mud. But when you are into the spirit of it, everything flows. Everything you do is easy. It's smooth. Okay, so that is the idea here. But we're living into a mechanical age. We may not be conscious of all this, but the mechanical tendency of the age has a firm grip, like it holds you by the balls, upon society at large. Like everything that we do, everything people say is like, you said, oh, I'm going to start a business. And it's just like, do you have a business plan? This is the mechanical part of it. That everything is mechanical into the world we live in. We habitually look at the mechanical side of things by preference to any other. Everything is done mechanically, from the carving of a piece of furniture to the arrangement of social system. It is the mechanical that must be considered first, and the spirit has to be fit in the mechanical exigencies. We enter into the mechanism of it instead of entering into the spirit of it, and so limit the spirit and refuse to let it have its own way. Man, there's so much into what I'm just reading, and that's the reason why I'm reading the same thing for the past 6 months, because it is so powerful. There's so much into this that if you let it have its own way, That is exactly the idea of freedom. That's what freedom is. But you need to be able to connect to that spiritual aspect of what you're doing. And by the way, if right now, like, you're listening to this and then you're just like, oh, is he talking about religion and all this? You're missing the point. Okay. Like, entering into the spirit of something is like being connected to the energy field and entering into the energy of what you're like, putting all of your energy, but with that flow. And this is why, like, you need to repeat it and repeat it again, because even the word doesn't make sense. I'm saying it right now, and my logical mind is telling, like, what you're saying doesn't make fucking sense, man. Like, this is nonsense. I mean, I'm hearing myself talking to myself while I'm talking to you guys, trying to tell me that what I'm saying doesn't make sense. Is that fucked up? That is the programming. Okay. But when you start living this way, and then as a consequence, we get entirely mechanical action, right? So everything you do is mechanical. This is where the grind comes. This is why people say, and I will take like Vaynerchuk, for example. He's always talking about, you need to grind. You need to grind yourself. Well, that's because you're mechanical into what you're doing, which you can use that aspect, but you are spending a lot of energy into everything that you're doing. Is that bad? No, it's not. Like, he's getting results. But he could accelerate his process and his results by 100 times if you enter into the spirit of what you're doing. Which, like, unconsciously, I know that he does that because he loves absolutely what he's doing. And that's probably one of the reasons why he got like so amazing, phenomenal results in a very short period of time, because like he is into the spirit of what he's doing. And on top of it, he's a grinder. So those two combination together makes it like getting a almost $200 million company within 10 years. That is how you're doing that. So it says, and then as a consequence, we get entirely mechanical action and complete our circle of ignorance by supposing that this is the only sort of action there is. Okay. And the key word here is the only sort of action there is. So that's where I want to bring you. Okay. You can be a grinder. And if that's the case, you're ahead of everybody. Because like most of the people I've learned, and the successful people, I've learned that the way to win is to outwork people. Okay? That's what they learned. If you do this, you will have success. Now, if you can, because that's not the only way, if you can enter into the spirit of what you're doing, what you're going to create the proper conditions. You're going to start manipulating the energy around you to start inviting into your experience all the idea, all the resources, all the people required for you to get to your goal, to get to your vision, to get to whatever that you want in your life. And that is what entering into the spirit means. And it is so, so powerful, because if you do that, I promise some exceptional results that's going to come into your experience. Let me see, like there's a bunch of people, not a lot of comments today. Good morning, Marc. Good morning. Susan said that. Alice, good morning. Thank you for sharing your wisdom every week and your time. That's my pleasure, Susan. I hope I'm going to see you in Toronto. I hope that you're going to be there. If you want to make the next step into your business, you need to be there. Ronnie, have a great week, Marc. For sure, I'm going to have a great week. Have a great week, my friend. Alice, that's where the magic happened. Like she's referring to when you are into the spirit of it. But that Alice, that's her who shared with me this idea that you can listen to the same music, the same song over and over and over and over again. But until the time that you go to the concert and really like get into the spirit of like the band and the crowd and everything together. I mean, that is a total different experience. And this is one of the reasons why I always love to go back home in the summer, because we have a music festival, which is probably one of the best music festivals in the world, Festival d'été international de Québec, where that you have like some of the biggest band which are coming there. And this year, like, my wife is very happy. Mariah Carey is going to be there, so she's very excited. My mom joined. Hey, Mom. Good to have you. Alex Orga. Only then. Thanks, Marc. Hi. Beautiful. Thanks, Marc. What's the book? The book is The Hidden Power by Thomas Troward. Very, very powerful shit. But that's not a book that you're just reading like this. Like, that's a book really you've got to study. I can send you a copy of the article if you want. Jonathan, do you have a ritual, quick practices that you use to get into the spirit of it? Like, you know, it's really interesting that you're saying this, because part of entering to the spirit for me is like doing my morning routine with my gratitude. So like on top of my gratitude list, I always write entering into the spirit of it. And now, because I've been practicing, I just said it right now, and then all of a sudden, like, my entire body start vibrating. So because I've been doing it for so long, I kind of instantly can enter into the spirit of whatever undertaking I'm taking, because of that practice, because of that auto-suggestion that it's called, because of that repetition. I developed faith, which, by the way, faith is an emotion, and faith can be developed on command. You can create faith. Like, faith has nothing to do with religion. And this is what I always say to people. Faith has nothing to do with religion. Faith is an emotion. Faith is one of the most powerful emotions that there is. But faith can be induced. And most people have been creating faith. I've been developing faith, but they've been programmed to have the faith that they have because their parents were repeating. You know, if someone says the Lord is the best, the Lord is the best, the Lord's the best, well, you'll believe that. But it's not faith based on understanding. This is blind faith. This is faith which have been imposed on you, which most of the faith you have, that's the way it's been created. So how do you create faith based on what you truly want? Is by starting analyzing, you know, your results, your life, your belief system, your habits. And then you start, okay, you know, I'm going to start with this. Start with one thing. You don't need like to start changing your entire life at once. And this is, I think, that why most people are struggling with that personal development realm and ideas. It's because like they want everything to be developed and changed like that. It's not the way it happens. Like, you start with one thing, and then like you make sure that that thing is really embedded and implemented into your life. And then you go to the second thing, and then you go to the third thing. And then each thing might take a week, a month, 2 months, 6 months. It doesn't really matter. Like this life, your life is not a fucking race. No, it's a marathon. So you've got to take a pace, right? And if you're a runner, you're gonna understand that, you know, when you're starting your run, like you start like slow, and then after 1 or 2K, this is where that like you can start picking up a little bit of pace, right? And then you got your rhythm, and then like there's some exercise, there's some trick like to find that rhythm and stay into the rhythm. Well, that's the same thing with your mind. Exercising your mind is this very same thing. So you've got to create that rhythm first, right? That practice. And then creating something that you can enter into the spirit of it, like on command, just because you decide to do so. So I hope that answers your question there. I'm listening intently, especially when it comes to entering into the spirit of whatever we're doing. Yeah, you've got, when you can do that. And listen, guys, this is very important. It's not just about listening. It's like the key is, yes, you got to listen, you got to hear it, you got to feel it. But when you do have the insight, you need to move into action. That's the piece that most of that area as well is not very good at. is like there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of blah blah, there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of coaches all over the world, but in terms of action and results, it's not there. So it's not someone you should follow. Make sure you follow someone which has demonstrated that they know what they're talking about and they are taking action, so you can follow them and you can feel, you know what, I'm getting results because that person is an action taker. You're not going to get results if you're not moving into action. Okay, very important. Christian, I'm going to send you this in DM. Stuart, happy Monday, Marc. I'd love a copy of the article too. Okay, so let me put the article right here. I'm going to put this on the top so people can have access to it. Wonderful, wonderful reading, like entering into the spirit of it. The Hidden Power by Thomas Troward. What do you think about my cup today? Very funky, huh? It's called like the art, cafe art. I like it. Follow someone who has a result you want. There you go. Very simple, right? Lou, that's wonderful insight on getting into action to obtain results. Well, that one is, I mean, it's so obvious that most people miss it. It's just like, you guys are here, you're listening to me, right? I'm giving you some insights, I'm sharing with you, really. That's like, if it's an insight or not, that is your responsibility. And I would say like 95% of you will go back to your work, you'll feel good, but you're not going to move into action. You're not going to take any action into what I'm talking about. And you're just going to continue with your normal habits and routine. And don't take this the wrong way. That's just the way we're programmed. So until and unless you change the programming, you will not change your results. That is what is important, to go back to paradigm. Again, paradigm is a multitude of habits that has entirely, almost exclusive control over your habitual behavior. And guess what? Almost all of your behavior is habitual. Like everything that you're doing it in the same order almost every day. And you never question those habits. I had a conversation with like my best friend about that. And when I was talking to him about like, you know, are you questioning your habits? Are you questioning your belief system? And he was fighting like a cat in the water. That was like, yeah, but you know, like that's not the point. I mean, what why? Because I was attacking the paradigm. And that is the job of the paradigm, to keep you exactly where you are, right here, right now. The paradigm doesn't want to change at all. The work of the paradigm is to keep you into this comfort zone. But if you don't become uncomfortable, you're never going to get results that you never had before. And that is where most people are resisting. They're resisting the change because they don't like to be uncomfortable, because the paradigm doesn't like discomfort. So learning to become comfortable with being uncomfortable, that is one habit that I would suggest you to develop, because that is absolutely required for anybody to endeavor great success and great results ultimately. Any questions, anything you would like me to address before we wrap this up and start our week? I'm having like quite of a week this week. Like I'm traveling on Thursday. Very excited. I'm going to see my family. And then after next week, I'm in training all week. So like for me, those training are so important, because what's happening is that we are like I'm getting myself with a group of people which we all thinking very alike, and basically we are pushing each other to bring our business to the next level. So what's going to come out of this, like the next 6 months, like from until December, I'm really, really excited about where we're going, because I mean, we put our finger into something with entering into the spirit of it and stop to be so mechanical. Now, do you have to do stuff mechanically? Absolutely. Like that, this is part of the world, but it's the balance. It's always the balance between being into the spirit of it and being mechanical. You cannot be just mechanical, and you cannot be just into the spirit of it. If you do just being into the spirit of it, what's going to happen is you're not going to take any action. Like you're just like, okay, I'm in the spirit of it and I'm fine. No, this is like the this is the problem of some of those teaching, is like, you just go into a yoga pose or a meditation pose, and then like basically you start levitating and shit comes into you, and like, money start like, raining on your head. That's not the way it works. So let's fucking be real. Okay, you need to have that balance between the spirit and the mechanical aspect. And there's some stuff that you're going to do mechanically, right? Like, for example, getting in touch with prospects and all this. But while that you do the mechanical aspect, your work is to try to enter into the spirit of it while you do the mechanical thing. So if I start like texting, right, which that was a strategy that we used, which is called text blitzing, and I start texting a bunch of people. Well, the texting with my finger is mechanical, but what I'm sending as a message, so my message is what is the energy that I want to send with the message. That is entering into the spirit of it. So be balanced, like have both all the time in everything that you're doing. If I'm driving my car, it's mechanical. Like I don't need to be into the spirit of it. But what the spirit that I want to enter while I'm driving my car is I want to drive my dream car. I want to drive like my new car that I want to have, that I'm going to buy like in 4 or 5 months from now when we're moving, is like I'm driving this car already. Like, I'm talking about it and I'm already in it. I know exactly like what color, what is the interior, like what is the feature that I want in the car, like what type of view I'm going to have while I'm in the car. So that is the car I'm driving while I'm driving my car. Driving this car is mechanical. Entering into the spirit of what I want, that is truly what I'm looking to bring. Like, what is the energy I'm looking to bring into that? Okay. Christian, after about 4 weeks now in a new habit, do I feel huge pain in my body? Would you go slower and execute the new habits? How do you deal with a situation like that? Well, the body is an instrument of the mind, right? So your body is which in this case, when you start feeling pain, like physical pain, like the paradigm is tricking you to slow down. It goes too fast. It doesn't like the change that happened. So it's going to create anything. I've seen people puking. I've seen people like getting sick, colds, like crazy shit. Like one of my clients, she didn't like one of the lessons. I mean, she really didn't like it. And she created an accident to justify why she shouldn't do it. So like you have to be extremely cautious about your the way you're allowing your paradigm to control and to bring you back to default. Now, if you are, for example, going to the gym and you're pushing like a crazy person, and you're going overboard, like maybe then in this case you slow down a little bit. Maybe like you do, instead of pushing weights, maybe you should stretch. Maybe you should do a little bit of yoga instead. So there's way to balance out. So to answer your question, after about 4 weeks now in the new habit, I do feel pain in my body. So is that like because like you're running? Is that because you like you are overutilizing your body? Like continue with that same direction, but then change the exercise that you're doing. Change the way that you're approaching that. That's what I would do, right? Mix it up a little bit. Like don't be so rigid. And it's always saying like you cannot be rigid. Even though in the new habit that you are having, if you are rigid, now you're becoming mechanical. Being in the spirit of it, it's always flow. There's always this feeling of flow. It's like water, right? It's like water. It's like it's moving. If you try to squeeze water, it's just gonna drip. But you could hold it in the palm of your hand. So like water is very malleable. Like you need to be like water. You need to be malleable. What an enlightening message on having a balance about being spiritual and mechanical. That resonates very well with me. That's wonderful, Lou. Now it's time to apply it, right? You just apply it, you get into the spirit of it, you do your mechanical aspect, but every time that you do things in the mechanical way, just make sure that you remember why you're doing it. What is the spirit of that big goal that you're going after? And you'll see everything's going to shift. Everything's going to start like flowing easily. And then you're going to get as well answers. You're going to get insights. You're going to get ideas. You're going to get like people that's going to pop in your mind. And then that's where that you start getting results. And then you're just like, wow, it's so easy. And then most likely the paradigm's going to try to take over and bring you and tell you that you should do things this way or that way or that way. So just be cautious. Just be aware. That's exactly what the awareness, why it's so important to be aware, because you're going to get all of those messages coming. And if you're aware, you're going to be able like to pick on it. And then, okay, so I'm going to do this because I feel, right? Listen to your feeling, your where you're drawn. I feel that this is what I should do, and it's effortless. It just flows. So it's okay. Let's do that. Any other questions? That bird, it's really funny. Every time I'm here, he's coming and he's just screaming at me. It's like, I don't know why. Because I'm in close to his nest. He doesn't like it. Any questions, any comment, anything you want to address before that we start our week? Have you thought about what type of results you want to have for yourself this week? Have you reflected on that? Yeah, maybe he wants to be on the video. Because if you're saying, you know, this is the results I want this week, most likely you will walk toward that direction. Most likely you're going to get closer to those results. But if you don't know, if you just let your day and your week go and you hope that things going to be very like, oh yeah, I hope that I'm going to have a good week. Hope? Like, what type of world you live in? Decide what you want and now start working with the energy around you to make that a reality. That's how you do that. And what I would recommend you is take a pen and a pad and script out what do you want out of that week. I want to have 5 new clients. I want to travel first class because I'm traveling this week. I want to help people. I want to, and then you just write out everything you want. And then you start walking toward that direction. But before you do so, enter into the spirit of it. And if you do, what will happen is you're going to get insights. You're going to get ideas. And a name from someone's going to pop in your mind. That means you need to call that person, because that person is exactly aligned with what you should be doing, because you just asked. But if you don't ask and you hope that your week's going to be good, well, I can promise you one thing, is you're going to be like a flag in the wind, and the wind's going to bring you all over the fucking place. And you're not going to be happy about those results. And some of you are victim of that. And then you're blaming society, your boss, your like the economy, like whatever it is. It's not the right prospect. Our prospects are not good. No, the prospect is always good. The prospect is a prospect. Your work is to make sure that that prospect is properly, you present your product properly. You understand what your prospect wants and needs. And then you are presenting your product to help them reach their goal and reach their vision. That is how you do that. The prospect is always good. Don't worry about it. So make sure that you're envisioning your week. And I'm going to complete with this, because that's a good one. Just to give you an idea of how crazy this shit happened. So we had a goal, and our goal was, the date of our goal was on my birthday, on the 3rd. And actually, I'm going to talk specifically for my wife. So she had that goal, she had that vision, and then few days prior, she's like, like, I haven't seen anything. It's just like, don't worry about it. Like, you don't know how, first of all, how it happened. And like, the date is not there yet. So don't start backtracking and start giving yourself an extension, right? Wait that the date is passed, and then you give yourself an extension right there. So on the day of my birthday, a friend of ours invited, like, a friend of ours, which was supposed to come to the birthday party, had some friend in town. And she's like, my friend are in town. Like, can I bring them? It's like, absolutely. So their friend came. Now, it turns out that person is friend with a person that my wife needs in order to get to her goal. You know how, when it happened? An hour before the 3rd finished. So you don't know. You will never know how it works and how it's going to manifest. Your job is to stay on course, is to enter into the spirit of your goal, is to envision what you truly want and take daily action on it. And how it will happen, that is the job of someone else. That is the reaction. That is the effect. And you should not try to control the effect. What you're controlling is what you think, how you feel, and the action you take in. This is your entire responsibility. The reaction and the effect is not your responsibility. What you do is you observe. It's like, that's not what I want. So I need to go back to square one, drawing board. I need to think properly. I need to feel properly. I need to take different actions. And if you focus on that, I promise your results going to be absolutely spectacular. You're going to have a great life. You're going to get like amazing experiences because you're controlling what you can control. Your thought, your feeling, and your actions. That, my friend, nobody can do that for you. You got to consent. That is your responsibility. The effect, the reaction and the effect, that is not your responsibility. Now it's an effect, right? So it's because of you that all this is happening, but that's not, you should not try to control that. Just observe, let this happen. And then you go back to okay, I need to think better, I need to feel better, and I need to take better action or different actions. If you do that, your life's going to be fulfilled with amazing, amazing things, amazing experience, amazing love. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you next Monday. Peace out.